Ed, he says he's going to step down as CEO. What does that actually mean? Do you think he's going to step down as kind of the person who's in control? Is he going to stop being chief twit?
So to go back to the question of the day, you know, if you're an investor and you're watching this play out, you first ask yourself, do you believe that he'll follow through with it? You know, he tweeted after that poll was put out that he'll honor the result. I asked Elon Musk in recent hours if he plans to do that. I've made a request to comment for him. Haven't heard back, of course. But just as, you know, Twitter users have voted on the poll, investors vote with their feet, right? And
their money.
And their money. And there's a clear reaction in the stock. You know, yes, it's not as sort of energetic as it was in pre-market. I think we're up by 2 to 3%, right? But this is a stock that's been down 8 of the last 10 sessions. And as Alex has pointed out off camera, right, that there's a lot that's happened in the last 2 weeks and a lot in the news flow that you get the sense that the retail and the institutional investor was fed up. Investors vote with their feet.
Hey, Alex, do we know how this all came about? Like, was there a trigger for this? Because that would go a long way in helping answer the question, like, is this real?
We don't know for sure. I'm waiting on Ed and some of our other colleagues to do some stellar reporting on this front. But what we can do is look a bit at the timeline. And we can see that, as Ed pointed out, over the past week, 10 days, Tesla is down significantly. We can see Tesla's down, I think, 30+% since he took over as Twitter CEO, while the market itself remains broadly flat. So if you're a Tesla investor, you might be sitting there saying, I'd rather Elon doesn't spend as much time at Twitter. We can also see that last week, it was reported that he's out seeking new investment for Twitter, going to the same people who have a stake already or own the company already and asking them to double down. If you look at that and then see the consequence, you know, there have been times in the past where Elon Musk has put out a poll when he's already made a decision about what he plans to do. You know, I infer from that perhaps that maybe there are some people behind the scenes saying, you know, we won't put money in if you're not involved. That is purely speculation, but it's not outside the realms of possibility.
What do you think he was doing in Doha?
Well, he's there with Jared Kushner, who certainly over the past few years, since being in the Trump administration, seems to have developed quite a rich network of investors in the Gulf. You know, if he's out seeking investment, maybe he's there with Jared Kushner. Again, I caveat all this speculation, but, you know, it's something that remains wildly outside the realms of possibility.
But Ed, to that point, I mean, he was looking to offload some stake in Twitter at around 54 something a share. Like,
right.
Do we make inference here? And also, like, for potential investors, like, do they want Musk gone or not? I wonder if, like, that conversation was transpiring.
Yeah, look, it's interesting because I don't know if Elon Musk is a football fan or soccer to you, Alex. And you know, clearly he was at the World Cup final. I'd make 2 points that when Musk tried to walk away from the deal, which seems like a very long time ago, but prior to the deal's closing, he did say that he, being chief executive or the chief or leader of Twitter, was temporary, and he would find somebody new to come in if that person exists. Of course, we know he's followed up in the last 24 hours to say that there is no one that wants the job and no one that's capable of keeping it alive, which are his words. I'd also point out that, you know, the cap table of the private entity is complicated. You know, Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal is a significant shareholder, the second most significant individual behind Musk. The Qatari Investment Authority has almost $400 million tied up in it. And as I reported, what seems like months ago now, but was weeks, you know, those that invested in the private entity were told that in a 3 to 5 year time horizon, Musk's plan was to take this company public again. Why am I saying all of this? Because A, when you're an investor, you want to know there's an exit and you can realize a return. But the whole point of taking Twitter private was that Musk felt wholesale changes were needed, not just to the structure of the business, but Twitter's underlying technology. And all we can talk about is what we know. Musk has said that he wants a technologist to come in and take this role, somebody who understands server and software technology, not necessarily an established operator. You remember that the former T-Mobile CEO, John Legere, tweeted, oh, pick me, I'll do it, I've got experience. And Musk just replied, no.
So what is, if it is a technologist, what does the job description look like? I'm presuming stabilizing the ad base at the moment must be a challenge. But how do you get this? How do you put this kind of company on a meta multiple? What do you need to do to get it to that kind of level in order that you can realize the kinds of gains that investors, as Ed says, are ultimately looking for? The entry price was high. if you're looking to get out, presumably you want it to be higher.
You want to demonstrate growth and of the kind of level that Meta was able to post over much of the past decade, but a path towards the sort of 80% gross profit margins that Meta is able to produce. Now, Musk seems to have alluded to the idea that maybe some sort of super app is the way of doing it. There are a huge number of obstacles to getting to that point, whether it be, developing a payments layer, bringing all the developers onto the platform who would then build for your product, and thirdly, the regulatory piece. This is not something that regulators outside of Asia particularly like, when you fundamentally leverage strength in one business to generate strength in another one. That is ultimately the entire business model of a super app. So if that is the path forward, is there someone out there who could do it? But quite possibly. The irony is the CEO that he got rid of was a technologist. Parag Agrawal was the CTO, and so he sort of ditched one technologist for himself. Is there another one out there with the sort of
vision.
Ability, vision, but also the know-how to get it to the thing that's ultimately his vision? It's a very different question entirely.